to, for those of you who are staying this afternoon, I do urge you to, again, be able to walk around and see some of the things we've been doing. That I put there because the drought conditions here were very serious in a mere that hasn't had some friends who've been helping with the water height. The other side, we haven't suffered any drought at all, and the water voles that Derek helped us re-establish are thriving as a consequence of the habitat that they've been able to survive in this year. So this in fact is going to be the first stop. In your packs, you should have a map, obviously. But point number one is at the base of Cholmondeley, and it's where Derek has helped us with the reintroduction of water voles, and it's going to be led by Mags. Mags, are you able to show? So this is Mags Cousins from Natural England. She is Senior Specialist for Vascular Plants at Natural England, has been an amazing help to us with the meres and mosses over the last few years, and with the wilding that David talked about, has been helping with Derek and us to try and work out at Norbury Meres and also at Cholmondeley what sort of stock should be where our ambitions should be to try and restore the habitats associated with that wetland. And one of the things Mags is going to be talking about are these little chaps, which, Mags, are terribly important, aren't they? These are the beautifully named Desmoulin's whirl snail. Have I got that right?
With my dirty fingernails, sorry, they still are like dirty.
And for that we need sedge communities, and for that we don't need to have large amounts of willow and alder and birch. So the way that is managed and the way that works with livestock is what Mags is going to be talking about. And for those of you with wetlands who want to talk about all things wetlands and plants, Mags will be able to help you with some help from her group that are going to be with her, which includes Mark Powell from the Cheshire Wildlife Trust, who keeps all the records of all the bird life at the Wildlife Trust farm and beyond, and Lucy Crockford from Harper Adams, who's doing some survey on water quality. Water quality is our great challenge in these meres. Industrial farming, the nutrient levels aren't where they should be with these meres, but with some of the work that we're doing, we're hoping to be able to address that, and it is starting to show signs of success. And so moving on from there, we'll get a quarter of an hour at each place, and then after that, the spot number 2 is to look at the meadows associated with the wetlands, and particularly the way that the longhorn are managing, or we're using the longhorn to manage the plant communities in the wetlands. And for that, we're very, very lucky to have Claire Whittle, who some of you might have heard speak at various places. There we are, there's Claire. And Claire is the regenerative vet, and one of her great specialities, she's been to Cholmondeley to teach the teams in our farms about dung beetles, and she's also helping because we're trying to take down fences and allow stock into wetland areas. We're also worried about liver fluke and how to manage all that sort of thing, and Claire's been our expert on that. And Claire, you've got Angelika von Heimendahl, who's here. There we go. Angelika leads the reintroduction of the beaver for the wildlife trusts. I think that's your thing, but actually your passion is grazing and grazing animals. So you graze the Cambridge meadows, amongst others. Red poles on the commons, fantastic. So lots of expertise there. So those of you who are interested in conservation grazing, I urge you to talk to Claire and Angelika. And also there are going to be 2 members of our great team, Owen Edwards and Luke Huxley, who help look after those animals. Point number 3 is where we're helping Derek with some breeding programs, and the couple of things you'll be able to see in pens are the wildcats. Well, you might not see the wildcats, they're really shy, but if you're lucky you'll see the wildcats. The kittens aren't quite so shy when they're wanting food anyway. And the storks, and this has been our first year of breeding storks. 2 pairs arrived about 9 months ago, and 1 pair successfully bred, and there are 3 chicks. Well, not so much chicks now, but you'll see them in the pen. But there's also a place to talk about the other reintroductions, and Derek will be there helping talking about the reintroduction also of the harvest mice that we've been doing in the fields next to Chapelmere, and also plans for cranes. We've been building nests for ospreys. All these things don't have to cost much money. It's just having the idea of trying these things and see. And the ospreys are circling now. They haven't started to nest yet, but they are definitely looking. One of the, I hadn't realized when we were talking, who's the great expert on ospreys and sea eagles? Roy, absolutely. He said, I said, well, there aren't any trout ponds around here. And he said, well, actually, it's jackpike that are their favorite prey. And of course, these meres are full of jackpike in the shallows. And I can just see and hope that in a few years' time, ospreys might be feeding off them, which will help the other fish community. So that's that point number 3. And then number 4, Neil Roberts. Do you want to stand up? Neil runs the farms for Cholmondeley and at Houghton. He's got a great team around him. And what he'll be talking about, I must keep going with this. I've been sorry, I forgot to do the slides. Obviously, the longhorn in the meadows there, harvest mice, water vole. This is coral, isn't it? From memory? Yes. Yeah, and it's such a relief that they're thriving. We have to keep on top of the mink. As you all know, the mink are something. So I'll come on to Tom's team in a moment, the Conservation Landscape team. But they keep on top of the mink. They are catching a lot of polecats, and the polecats are redistributed. We don't want them too close to the water voles, but we're very proud of our polecats, and they just get pushed to the sides of the estate when we catch one. So these are the wildcats that we've now had 2 seasons of these being with us, and this second year of kittens, and they're all going to be part of a larger scheme, working with Scotland to reintroduce them to the right areas at the right time. But what they really want to do at the moment is just build numbers for when that moment's right. We're just helping with that. There's this year's little kitten. These guys are next door. They stare each other out every day, and you can see some young chicks just at the bottom there. Fabulous, wonderful birds. It's a real privilege to have them in our midst. And we were talking to Derek this morning about the next stage, getting 5 or 6 pairs here, or maybe more, so that in 3 or 4 years' time, if deemed suitable, the youngsters can go and join the ones at Knepp and elsewhere in their migrations. What is exciting is the number of egrets, and we've got great white egret here. So I'm pretty certain that this wetland habitats with all the in our wetlands. And then going on, caught up again with Neil. So Neil's going to be talking about the sort of grazing that we do with the jerseys. You'll see the jerseys, the importance of cell grazing and the rotational grazing, and the way that we build the yield to try and hit our targets with herbal lays on the permanent pasture, but the importance of having a large number of animals in a small space for small periods, and the symbiotic relationship there is with the growth of the grass thereafter, the improvement in the soil. And it's been wonderful to see how this system has replaced the previous tenanted ryegrass set stocking, no wildlife. And when you go into our fields now, you are assaulted by insects. You are beginning to see the resurgence of an awful lot of life, and that's with Neil and his team, and it's all designed for profit. It has to pay a rent to the estate, and it has to also get us the returns that we want to justify its existence. So it is combining the profit with wildlife, and Neil and his team will be able to talk about that. You've got with you Neil Robert Hall, who I've already introduced you to, who does the same and all the margins, and Ben Gregory, who does the same for the Wildlife Trust, the Cheshire Wildlife Trust, who's based in our farm at Bickley. And then lastly, number 5 is back here in the gardens. You can see it's just below the parking area. And relatively new head gardener, Kate. Do you want to stand up, Kate? So Kate took over as head gardener in the spring. She's doing an amazing job with a wonderful team. And she's got Hannah and Ginny with you today. And in the gardens these guys have been doing is allowing a lot more of the native species to start to take center stage, whereas maybe a few years ago it was all the ornamentals, and the native species are starting to do really well, particularly in the grasslands. And there's some fascinating things going on the castle bank below us here, particularly with seedlings. And Dan Nash, who runs the nursery at the Wildlife Trust, is going to be joining you there to talk about how we might be able to harvest some of the seedlings that are coming out of the grasslands in the gardens to be the next stock of our next set of woodlands. So that's the idea this afternoon. For lunch, it's in the dining room. The wonderful Eliza has come up from Houghton to prepare lunch. And for pudding, you're going to be, or for those who want it, there's yogurt pots from another great success story on Cholmondeley, which is the estate dairy, which some of you are nodding. You'll have seen it, those of you who spend time in London. It's taking over all the cultured butter and yogurt. And they're based, ironically, they were the one farm on Cholmondeley that wasn't a dairy farm, but they're the ones who are doing the most to push our produce and other people's into the marketplace, and I think it's absolutely delicious. So enjoy your yogurts as well. Thank you.
I think you'll all agree, thank you, James, for everything you've done, organising this, getting through level 2, giving us such an insight into such a lot of work. And he used the word fun. This should be fun. It's definitely fun. So thank you.